Welcome back to the channel, where history isn't just something you read, it's something you can actually hold in your hand. Now imagine this. You're going through your pocket change, maybe coins you've ignored 1,000 times before, and hidden among them are small pieces of American history, coins that have traveled through decades, witnessed change, and quietly carry stories most people never notice. Today, we're diving into 4 incredible dimes that might look ordinary at first glance. But once you understand their history, their design, and their hidden details, you'll never look at them the same way again. We're talking about 4 specific coins: the 1988 D dime, the 1989 P dime, the 2015 D dime, and the 2022 D dime. Each one represents a different era of the United States, from the late Cold War period, through economic shifts, all the way to modern-day America. And here's the exciting part. Even though these coins are still common in circulation, some versions, errors, and high-grade examples can be worth far more than just 10 cents. So stay with me until the end, because one of these coins might already be sitting in your pocket right now. Now let's go even deeper into the story of the 1988 D dime, because this small coin has more to say than most people realize. When you hold a 1988 D dime in your hand, you're not just holding 10 cents, you're holding a piece of a very specific moment in time. America in the late 1980s was on the edge of transformation. Technology was beginning to rise, global politics were shifting, and everyday currency like this dime was quietly moving through millions of hands, witnessing it all. These coins were used in vending machines, payphones, grocery stores. They were part of daily life in a way that feels almost nostalgic today. The design itself is something many people overlook. On the front, you see Franklin D. Roosevelt, a president remembered for leading the United States through the Great Depression and World War II. His presence on the dime isn't random. It's also connected to his support of the March of Dimes campaign, which helped fight polio. So every time you look at this coin, you're seeing a tribute to resilience, leadership, and public service. Now let's talk about condition, because this is where ordinary coins can turn into something special. Most 1988 D dimes you'll find in circulation are worn down. The details on Roosevelt's hair might look flat, the torch on the reverse may not be sharp, and the edges could show signs of years of use. These are common, and they're typically only worth face value. But if you find one that looks almost brand new with full luster, sharp lines, and no scratches, that's what collectors call a high-grade coin. These are graded on a scale, and the closer a coin is to perfect condition, the more valuable it becomes. A pristine 1988 D dime, especially one graded MS-65 or higher, can be worth many times more than 10 cents. And then there are the errors, the hidden treasures that make coin collecting so exciting. Imagine finding a dime where the design is slightly off-center, or where there's a visible crack running through the image due to a damaged die. These aren't mistakes in a bad way, they're rare variations that collectors actively hunt for. Some error coins can sell for surprisingly high prices, depending on how unique and visible the error is. There's also something called full torch detail on the reverse side. If the bands on the torch are fully separated and clearly defined, it means the coin was struck with exceptional precision. Collectors love this feature, and it can significantly increase the coin's value. Another interesting point is how these coins were produced in massive numbers. The Denver Mint created hundreds of millions of dimes in 1988, which is why they're still easy to find today. But out of all those coins, only a tiny percentage remain in perfect condition. That's what creates the opportunity, the idea that somewhere out there in a jar of old coins or hidden in pocket change, there could be a small fortune waiting to be discovered. So the next time you see a 1988 D dime, don't ignore it. Take a closer look. Check the details, the shine, the alignment. Because what looks ordinary at first glance might actually be something rare and valuable. And that's the beauty of coin collecting, turning everyday objects into stories, history, and sometimes unexpected treasure. Now let's move on to the 1989 P dime. And just like before, we're going to slow things down and really uncover what makes this coin more interesting than it first appears. At first glance, the 1989 P dime looks like any other modern U.S. coin. Same familiar portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, same torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse. But the small P mint mark is what immediately sets it apart from older Philadelphia coins. Before 1980, Philadelphia coins didn't carry a mint mark at all, so seeing that tiny P is actually a sign of a major shift in how coins were identified and tracked. It marked a new era of standardization in U.S. minting. Now think about this for a moment. By 1989, the United States Mint was producing coins at an incredibly high speed. Millions upon millions of dimes were being struck to meet demand. And while technology had improved, the sheer volume of production meant that not every coin came out perfect. In fact, that's where things start to get interesting. Some 1989 P dimes show what collectors call weak strikes. This happens when the coin isn't struck with enough pressure during minting, causing certain details to appear faint or incomplete. For example, Roosevelt's hair might lack definition, or the torch on the reverse may not be as sharp as it should be. To an everyday person, it might just look like a worn coin, but to a collector, it's a sign of how the coin was made, and sometimes it can even increase curiosity and value. Then there are slight design variations. These are not dramatic errors, but subtle differences that occur due to die wear or minor inconsistencies in the minting process. Over time, the dies used to strike coins begin to degrade. This can lead to softer details, tiny distortions, or even slight shifts in how the design appears. Each variation tells a small story about the life of that die inside the mint. And let's not forget about die cracks and die chips, small flaws that occur when the metal dies begin to break down after repeated use. These imperfections can show up as raised lines or bumps on the coin's surface. Again, most people would overlook them, but collectors often see them as unique fingerprints that make a coin one of a kind. Another important factor with the 1989 P dime is condition. Just like with the 1988 D, the difference between an ordinary coin and a valuable one often comes down to how well it has been preserved. A heavily circulated coin with scratches and wear is usually only worth its face value. But a coin that still has its original mint luster, that bright, almost glowing shine, and crisp details can stand out immediately. Collectors often look for coins graded at MS65 or higher, and if a 1989 P dime reaches that level, especially with strong strike details, it can command a much higher price than you might expect. There's also a special level of interest in coins that show full detail on the torch bands on the reverse. If those horizontal lines are clearly separated and sharp, it indicates a high-quality strike, which collectors value highly. What makes this coin even more fascinating is how it represents a transition period. The late 1980s were a time when minting technology was improving, but it hadn't yet reached the precision we see today. That means coins from this era sit right in the middle, not as rough as earlier decades, but not as perfectly consistent as modern coins. And that balance creates opportunities for collectors to find something unique. There's also a psychological side to it. Because the 1989 P dime is so common, most people ignore it completely. It sits in drawers, jars, and pockets without a second thought. But hidden among those millions of ordinary coins could be a few exceptional ones, coins with perfect strikes, rare errors, or unusual features that make them stand out. And that's really the magic here. It's the idea that something so small, so everyday, could hold unexpected value. You don't need to be a professional collector to start noticing these details. All it takes is a closer look, checking the mint mark, examining the design, paying attention to the small imperfections. So the next time you come across a 1989 P dime, don't just spend it without thinking. Hold it for a second. Look at the details. Because in the world of coin collecting, even the tiniest differences can turn an ordinary coin into something worth talking about. Now let's talk about the 2015 D dime in a very simple and easy way, but this time, let's go a little deeper and really understand why this small coin can still be interesting. As we mentioned, the 2015 D-dime is a modern coin. It was made in Denver, and that small D mint mark tells you exactly where it came from. By 2015, coin making had become very advanced. The machines used by the U.S. Mint were highly precise, which means most coins came out looking almost perfect, smooth surface, clear design, and sharp details. When you first see a fresh 2015 dime, it usually looks bright and shiny. The face of the coin shows President Roosevelt, and you can clearly read Liberty and In God We Trust. On the back, everything is neatly designed, from the torch in the center to the olive and oak branches on the sides. All of this is made to look clean and balanced. But here's something interesting. Even the best machines in the world are not perfect. Small mistakes can still happen during the minting process. These mistakes are called errors, and they are one of the most exciting parts of coin collecting. For example, sometimes the coin is not perfectly centered when it is struck. This creates what we call an off-center coin. Part of the design might be missing or shifted. Other times you might notice doubling, where the letters or numbers look slightly repeated or blurry. This happens when the design is stamped more than once in a slightly different position. There can also be tiny cracks in the design, known as die cracks. These appear as thin lines on the coin, or you might see small raised bumps called die chips. These things might look like damage at first, but they are actually minting errors, and collectors love them. Why? Because they are rare. Think about it, millions of 2015 dimes were made, but only a small number have these unusual features. That makes them special. And when something is rare, people are willing to pay more for it. Now let's talk about condition, because this is very important. Most 2015 dimes you find in your pocket will be worn. They may have scratches, dull color, or faded details. That's because they've been used many times in daily life. But sometimes you might find a coin that looks almost new. It might still be shiny, with no scratches and very sharp details. This kind of coin is called uncirculated, meaning it hasn't been used much, or maybe not at all. Collectors always look for coins in the best condition possible. Even if a coin is common, a perfect or near-perfect version of it can be worth much more than its face value. Now here's another way to think about it. Every 2015 D dime has its own story. The moment it was made in Denver, it started a journey. It may have been shipped to a bank, then given to a store, then used by customers. It could have traveled across cities, states, or even the whole country. It might have been in someone's pocket, dropped into a vending machine, or saved in a jar at home. Some coins live very busy lives, constantly being used again and again. These coins become worn and lose their shine over time. But other coins are lucky. Maybe someone saved them right after getting them. Maybe they were placed in a coin collection or stored safely in a drawer. These coins stay clean and shiny, almost like the day they were made. And these are the coins collectors really want. Here's something else that makes modern coins like the 2015 D dime interesting. People often think only old coins are valuable. But that's not always true. Even newer coins can become valuable if they have something special, like an error, a unique feature, or a very high-quality condition. In fact, many collectors today are carefully checking modern coins because they know that today's ordinary coin could become tomorrow's rare collectible. So if you ever come across a 2015 D dime, don't ignore it. Take a moment to really look at it. Hold it under good light. Check the surface. Look closely at the letters and numbers. See if anything looks unusual or different. Is it off-center? Do the letters look doubled? Is it extra shiny and clean? These small details can make a big difference. And even if you don't find anything rare, you'll start to see coins in a new way. Instead of just spare change, they become tiny pieces of history, each with its own journey and story. So the next time you get a dime in your change, remember this. It might be more than just 10 cents. It might be something worth keeping, something worth checking, and maybe something worth a lot more than you expect. And that's what makes coin collecting so exciting. The idea that treasure could be hiding in plain sight, right in your own hands. Finally, let's talk about the 2022 D dime. This is one of the newest coins in our list, and it represents the present day. At first glance, it might feel like it is too new to be special, but that is not always true. modern coins like the 2022 D-dime are being closely watched by collectors right now. Why? Because errors found early in a coin's life can become extremely valuable over time. By 2022, the United States Mint was using highly advanced technology. Coins were being produced faster and more accurately than ever before. The design appears very sharp, the edges are clean, and the overall look is bright and polished when the coin is new. But even with modern machines, small mistakes can still happen. Some 2022 D-dimes have already been reported with minor minting issues. These include die chips, which look like small raised bumps on the coin, or slight misalignments where the design is not perfectly centered. There can also be very light doubling in letters or numbers, which may only be visible under close inspection. Right now, these errors might not seem very important. Most people would not even notice them. But in the world of coin collecting, these small differences are exactly what makes a coin unique. And over time, uniqueness can turn into value. Let's think about it in a simple way. Millions of 2022 dimes were made, and most of them look exactly the same. But if only a small number have a certain error, that makes them rare. And when something is rare, collectors become interested. Now let's talk about condition again, because this is just as important for modern coins. Since the 2022 D dime is still new, many of them are still in good condition. But not all of them stay that way. Once a coin enters circulation, it starts to get small scratches, marks, and wear from daily use. Coins that stay in perfect condition are much harder to find than you might think. If someone saved a 2022 D dime right after getting it, without using it, that coin could remain in near-perfect shape. These are the kinds of coins that collectors look for, especially in the future when most of them become worn. Now here is something very interesting about modern coins. Collectors today are paying more attention to new coins than ever before. In the past, people mostly focused on older coins. But now, many collectors carefully check new coins as soon as they are released. They look for errors early. They save the best quality coins. They understand that today's common coin can become tomorrow's rare collectible. So the 2022 D-dime is not just another coin. It is part of a new generation of collectibles. Let's also think about the journey of this coin. Even though it is new, it has already started moving through the economy. It may have been used in stores, passed between people, or traveled across different places. Every coin begins its journey the moment it leaves the mint. Some 2022 dimes are already worn from heavy use. Others might still be sitting in jars, piggy banks, or collections, waiting to be discovered years later. And that is what makes coin collecting so exciting. You are not just looking at money. You are looking at something that has a story, something that has traveled, something that connects people in time. Another important point to remember is that value does not always come immediately. A 2022 D-dime might only be worth 10 cents today. But if it has a rare error or stays in perfect condition, its value could increase over the years. Patience is a big part of coin collecting. Some collectors hold onto coins for many years, waiting for the right time when their value increases. Now let's bring everything together. What makes all these dimes truly fascinating is not just their design or their value. It is their connection to history. Each coin represents a moment in time. From the 1980s to today, these small pieces of metal have been quietly moving through the economy, witnessing changes in technology, culture, and society. And the best part is, you do not need to be a professional collector to start. All you need is curiosity and attention. The next time you get change from a store, do not ignore it. Take a closer look. Check the year. Check the mint mark. Look at the condition. Try to notice small details that others might miss, because you never know, one of those small, ordinary-looking dimes might actually be a hidden treasure. And even if you do not find something valuable right away, you will still gain something important. You will start to see coins differently. You will understand their story. And that makes every coin more interesting. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare coins, hidden values, and the stories behind everyday money, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Because we are just getting started, and there are many more incredible coins waiting to be discovered. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.